Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Sergeant at Arms, has the front lobby been attended to? Thank you. We request that all electronic devices be turned off and put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. Board members Patrica and Giovanelli will be participating via Zoom. Pursuant to board policy 0164.1, both board members are eligible to vote on the items during tonight's action meeting. Prior to the start of this evening's meeting, we have been enjoying music from members of the Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School Wind Ensemble perform their Veterans Day show. This group is under the direction of Catherine May. And not in my script, this young gentleman next to me said you were his 6th grade music teacher. I'll be introducing him a little bit later. He said you were very good though. This past year, Dunbar Middle School received excellent ratings at both jazz and concert band music performance assessments. They had over 20 entries perform for solo and ensemble festival. Students in the band consistently make the all-county concert and jazz band ensembles. Coming up in January, they will have a member of the Wind Ensemble represent Paul Lawrence Dunbar Middle School in the All-State Middle School Honor Band. I am pleased to welcome you to the November 7th, 2023 school board meeting. The time is 6:01 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Now we'll hear one more song from this amazing group. You may be seated. We will pause briefly to allow the clearing of the pit area. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure each student achieves his or her highest personal potential, and the district's vision to be a world-class school system. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, presentation of colors and Pledge of Allegiance, acknowledgments, public comment, consent action items, which include 2 items under the board office, 2 items under executive services, 3 items under academic services, 4 items under business services, 16 items under human resources, 1 of which is good cause. Dr. Vernier, would you please provide an explanation of this good cause?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the good cause item is the administrative salary schedule, which is being brought forth as good cause this evening. The district staff and administrators worked pretty diligently on this all last week to determine the 8% salary increase and to stay within the board's bargaining authority. I therefore request that the matter be approved as a good cause this evening.
As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this item to the agenda. We have 1 item under information systems, 8 items under operations, 4 items under the good of the order and other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Ms. Jordan?
I move to adopt the agenda as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Fisher, seconds. Please record your vote. The vote carries 6-0. Ms. Giovanelli is not voting tonight at this particular time. Okay.
I think I can vote. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And it did not come up.
And your vote is, Ms. Giovanelli?
It's yes.
All right. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Welcome. As is the custom of the board, Ms. Langford Fleming will lead us in the invocation. Afterwards, Ms. Jordan will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand.
Tonight, I would like to welcome Pastor Sean Bunger. He has been the lead pastor at Gateway Trinity Lutheran Church for the past 13 years. On behalf of the board and the Lee County School District, thank you for joining us.
Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, you are the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for the gift of education. We give you thanks for students and teachers, for administrators and bus drivers, for janitors and parents, for this community and all our schools. As the school board meets on this night, we ask that you bless them abundantly and grant them wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with them in their deliberations and guide them to be wise in the decisions they make. Give them insight to lead with integrity, that their decisions may reflect what is right and good and to the benefit of all students in Lee County. Dear God, grant us the humility to seek your will in all that we do and say. In your precious name we pray.
Amen.
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 Introducing the cadet who is presenting the national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Captain Venice Walker, Senior Army Instructor from Dunbar High School. Captain Walker served 27 years in the Army in numerous assignments and retired as the Assistant Professor of Military Science at Grambling State University for the U.S. Army Canada Command. This is Captain Walker's 5th year as JROTC instructor in the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Colonel Nathan Portugal, the Brigade Commander of the Dunbar High School GROTC program. Cadet Colonel Portugal is also a Dunbar Tiger Raiders commander. Cadet Portugal's plans following high school are to attend the University of South Florida Army's ROTC program in pursuit of becoming an Army officer. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Representing Lehigh Senior is Braden Robinson Adams. Braden is a Florida native whose parents, Kagan and Dean, are very proud and believe that he is capable of doing anything that he sets his mind to. He is described by his teachers as being respectful and ambitious. His pleasant disposition and comical approach to life has aided him in his educational journey. When adversity has hit him and hardships have lingered around him, he has always tried to find the positives. He is a senior and attributes his academic goals to the rigorous work he has always been given while attending school. Braden is a member of the local Home Depot team and takes great pride in completing all tasks that are given to him with precision, no matter the grandeur of the tasks that are given to him. Braden is looking forward to graduating from high school and applying to Florida State University, where he plans to pursue a pre-law degree. Braden is passionate about ensuring things are done fairly and equitably for all who are involved, which is why he eventually plans to seek his Juris Doctorate degree. It is important for Braden that people view high school students not as the future of the world, but as a viable and important members of society today. He recognizes that he and his peers have much to offer if given the opportunity to express their opinions, beliefs, fears, and dreams. Please welcome Braden.
The character word for October is citizenship. Citizenship is the quality of an individual's response to a membership in community. The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Coral Brennan, an 11th grade student at Estero High School. The School Board of Lee County acknowledges the following events for the month of November 2023. National STEM/STEAM Day for November 8th. National Education Support Professionals Day for November 15th. School Psychology Awareness Week, November 6th through the 10th. Veterans Appreciation Week is November 6th through the 10th. American Education Week is November 13th through the 17th. Holocaust Education Week, November 13th through the 17th. Florida Family Engagement and Education Month, and National American Indian Heritage Month.
Thank you, Braden. Before we take the picture down, I got to talk. Oh, we took it down. There he is. I got to talk to the girl that did this, and she said citizenship to her meant giving a hands up to someone. That explains the hands. Voting, that's the middle one there. And of course, respecting the flag in your country. So that was her thoughts behind that. So very good, Carol. All right. Next on the agenda are excuse me. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Attorney DePay Bruno, would you please address this item?
Thank you and good evening. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comment are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Concerns will be addressed by the superintendent or his staff as necessary, and the chair may comment as deemed appropriate at the conclusion of public comment. The superintendent may also comment if deemed appropriate. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, and the general operation of the school district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a governmental agency conducts official business. Therefore, abusive language such as cursing, insults, derogatory language levied against an individual or a class of people are prohibited. Further, personal attacks such as name-calling are prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, and booing, or a display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the parliamentarian. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the sergeant at arms. Per board policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screens in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Speaker, there are 13 individuals that wish to address the board this evening. The time per speaker is 3 minutes.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but did not fill out a comment card? Seeing none, you'll please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, I mean. Will the following individuals please line up? Megan Shaw, Bruce Shaw, Dr. Paula Porter, Donna Hornsby, Kevin Daly.
Can we lower it? Can we lower it?
Good evening.
Excuse me one moment. Can we lower the dais a little bit so the child can be seen by the board?
Yeah. Cool.
There you go. Hey,
There he is.
thank you.
My back.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Megan Shaw. This is Oliver Shaw. And this is Bruce Shaw. We are here tonight again to ask the school board to please move Oliver's bus stop to a safer spot. We have tried through the district and it has not gotten anywhere. Our requests have been denied and the reasoning doesn't logically make sense to me. While I understand that there are recommendations by the education system where bus stops should be, the reason that I keep getting is that they can't block the exit to my community for a bus stop, which doesn't make any sense because if there's a bus stop, people shouldn't be exiting the community anyways.
Or entering.
Or entering. So it doesn't make any sense. I know the bus will fit where we're asking it to go. We're not asking the bus to go out of its way. It's on its way to its next stop. It's just a little bit closer and off of the busy road. And so we just really request that this be taken into consideration and a change is made.
Please move the bus stop.
So as it stands now, I pick him up, the bus lets him off in a turning lane on Summerlin and Gladiolus, which is one of the busiest streets at the hour. His bus drops him off. And when he gets off the bus, he has to go down a grassed hill that's at a slope to get to the bike path, which is easily 100 yards from the entrance from where she lives. So you have bikers coming by, he has to go down the grass slope, and he's just a tiny, he's just a tiny little guy. So the bus stops at the beginning of the turn lane And we were told at one point the reason being is because cars were going around the other side. No matter where the bus stops, they're going to go, if they want to go around, they're going to go around. I would find it safer if the bus was blocking the turn lane, then the cars would actually, if by any chance a car was going to try to go around, they would have to go in the grass, as opposed to him walking 100 yards down the bike path, you know, stopping Summerlin with 3 lanes of cars. Because if you're going to go by, you're going to go around no matter what. So it's to me, it's by no means, as she stated, makes any sense where that bus is dropping him off. Because if you're in the turn lane, you can only go around on the street side, not on, you know, you'd have to go down the hill in the grass on the bike path to go around. So
We're about out of time. We thank you for your time
Thank you so
and
much.
consideration.
Thank you.
thank you.
Before the next speaker comes down, there are 2 cars that are blocking our bus from being able to move. A silver Accord, plate KAF Q66, and a Toyota Venza white, plate SYE 14. So if you could please move your car so that our bus and our children can get home and back to where they need to go. Thank you.
Dr. Paula Porter, Lehigh Acres. First of all, I want to commend Dr. Spiro and his team on the outstanding efforts they've made in setting up the ad hoc meetings to review book challenges. I have participated in 2 such committee meetings in October and was impressed with the professionalism and open minds of all participants. However, there's an issue with the book challenge forms and how they are completed by individuals submitting them. In the 2 book challenges I reviewed, the completion of the forms were not properly filled out with relevant answers to the questions. For example, in asking about the theme, and all the questions on the forms were answered with one phrase: irrelevant because it is against the law to expose minor children to sexual content like this book does. That is not properly filling out the form, nor is it properly answering the questions. The forms were well developed, provide explicit instructions. However, the submitter merely copied and pasted the same answer, and then, to add a little fuel to the fire, copied and pasted content from the website Book Looks about the issues with the content in the book, all of which likely took the submitter less than 10 minutes of time. These forms should be rejected as they are not completed properly, and they should be given back to the submitter and allowed to go and explain the differences and what is expected of them. There's nothing in your policy that I found or in the state laws that I've been reading that states challenge forms have to be accepted when incomplete. Nor is there any indication that the forms cannot be given back to the originator and resubmitted correctly, completed with the relevant answers. I know of no other government, organization, agency, or even a business that would accept an improperly completed form. Try filling out a building permit, a FEMA application, or even a bank loan in this matter. It is not wrong to require complete and accurate information on the forms. These false submissions take away resources and funds from our schools. For example, Take Action for Libraries website note in Florida, it costs anywhere from $34,000 to $135,000 per school year per school district for book challenges. These costs involve the time and efforts of the 7 ad hoc reviewers who must read the entire book, prepare an analysis. Other costs are the time involved by the staff to complete paperwork, as well as the cost of books brought for the members of the committee. The best interests of parents, students, taxpayers of Lee County are ignored by a small minority taking advantage of this opportunity to require or ask for a book challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the following individuals please line up? Robert Daniels, Anna Witten, Sheridan Chester, Marge Cox, Linda Carter.
Donna Hornsby. I'm here to ask you to disapprove the agenda item number 7 regarding the piggyback of Orange County Public Schools substitute teacher services. I am currently a guest teacher. I have emailed each of you and Dr. Bernier to express my concerns about outsourcing the guest teachers to Kelly Education Services, a for-profit company. We all recognize there's a shortage of available guest teachers, and this is making it difficult to provide the quality education our students deserve. This shortage of guest teachers only developed after the COVID school closures. Recruiting and hiring needs to happen. Pay is the most motivating consideration. If you have a willingness to substantially increase the hourly pay rate, why does that raise need to be tied to the approval of this outsourcing? During the workshop on November 1st, a committee was thanked for their hard work. Who was on this committee? How did they make their decisions? When did they ask for input? As a guest teacher, the first I was informed was via an email invitation to please join us to discuss some exciting news regarding our guest teachers. The meeting will be held at the district office. We look forward to seeing you there. There is no mention of the topic of outsourcing the guest teachers. That meeting was conducted on October 3rd. I'm sure Mr. Dodig was not surprised by the low turnout. It appears it was designed for low participation. Has it been kept quiet in order to be approved without any opposition? Does the contract being piggybacked on have any of the following agreements? A requirement to notify Kelly of a minimum notice period. Customers shall now hold Kelly responsible for any unfilled assigned employee request received after the minimum notice period, and the unfilled request, as described in this paragraph, shall not be used in calculating any fill rates and/or service level agreements associated with Kelly. Is this how they are able to maintain their high fill rates? Do we use the same disclaimers when calculating our fill rate? The fill rate was discussed and repeated multiple times at the guest teacher meeting and the workshop as the main goal, to achieve that 80+% fill rate. If there is wording in the Kelly Services contract that allows for a minimum notice period before using those numbers in the calculation of their fill rate, it is not a true comparison of their performance to our current percentage rating, nor is it an accurate prediction of the expected success. The most frequently unfilled positions are the last-minute callouts. Kelly Services members will look good, their numbers will look good, and we will still have classrooms split for coverage, and the school district is taking on an extra cost, 27.5% profit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairpersons, Dr. Bernier and board, my name is Kevin Daly, and I'm the president of the Teachers Association of Lee County, and I'm speaking to you all tonight to ask you to approve the new tentative agreement between TALC and the district. This year's TA passed the TALC bargaining unit with a 93% approval rate. The employees have spoken loudly about this year's TA, and I want to highlight what I believe is the major factor to explain the overwhelming approval. This year, the board set a new standard for monies set aside for employee compensation. Through the new standard, we have been able to start the process of dealing with the compression that was thrust upon us by lawmakers in Tallahassee without adequate funding to handle the very compression it created, and to start bringing back the idea that experience matters. We look forward to the commencement of bargaining in February and working together to address the continued challenges faced by the employees of the School District of Lee County. A livable wage that continues to offset compression, continuing to offset medical inflation, and special attention to supplements that employees take on to enrich the school experience for students. We're hopeful that the bargaining authority in February will match or surpass the standard that was set with this bargaining session. It is imperative that we remain competitive in retaining and recruiting the best talent for the students and families of Lee County.
Good evening. I'm Sheridan Chester, and I'm president of the Lee County Association of Professional Substitute Teachers. And I want to thank you for all that you are trying to do for us. The substitute teachers are more than willing to work. They just want to know that they're still going to be a part of the Lee County School District and not Kelly. That's the concern, that we're going to be separated from and that we're not going to have the same kind of input. So I would like to let everyone know that the teachers are willing and ready to work as long as we're working with you and not against each other. Thank you.
I'm Marge Cox. I live in Bonita Springs, Florida, and I just wanted to come this evening to say how impressed I was when I served on the ad hoc committee to look at one of the books, at how well read the group was, but how well run the meeting was. Really was a tribute to Dr. Sparrow and his crew that did that. I also wanted to say that I really appreciated that you've made a move toward hiring more media specialists in the district since the end of last school year. The legislature basically gave you an unfunded mandate by saying all this work must be done, but no, we're not giving you extra money. So I appreciate that you've made a start for that. You will find in your email tomorrow when you look at it that I've written a letter to the board, Dr. Sparrow and Dr. Bernier, to give some ideas of ways that might help to get additional staff members that are trained as media specialists, as well as a sample of what it would look like if you had media specialists in every building, how that would support your curriculum, your staff, and your students. So I hope as you look at your email tomorrow, you will take a time to read through that. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen of the school board, my name is Anna Witten, and I am a 4th grade teacher. I stand before you today on behalf of the dedicated educators in our school district, and I want to express our heartfelt gratitude for your commitment to supporting teacher pay increases. The financial support that you have provided has allowed us to negotiate a historical salary increase of at least the past decade. Your investment in our teachers is a testament to your recognition of the pivotal role we play in shaping the future of our community. We are grateful for the progress we have made in addressing the issue of teacher compensation, which will allow us to attract and retain talented educators that are dedicated to the success of our student. However, while we celebrate these accomplishments, it is important to acknowledge that our work is far from complete. We must continue to work together to ensure that our teachers receive the salaries and benefits they truly deserve. As the cost of living rises, it becomes increasingly challenging for our educators to make ends meet and provide for their families. Our commitment to education is unwavering, and we ask for your continued support in addressing the remaining disparities in teacher salaries. It is critical that we strive to offer competitive compensation packages that reflect the value of our teachers' contributions and dedication to our students. Thank you again for your ongoing support and for being champions of education. We are eager to continue our journey towards fair and equitable teacher compensation, working hand in hand with you to make it a reality for our dedicated educators. Thank you. Will the following individuals please line up? Linda Carter, Lou Navarro, Jacqueline Perez, Joe Phillips, Sergio Cruz.
Hello, my name's Robert Daniels. I'd like to echo the other speakers in thanking you for the step in the right direction that this contract between the teachers and the district represents. I will echo my previous comments made here that until we reach parity with the historic average of teacher pay, which adjusted for inflation is $70,000, with the district average for teacher pay, we will continue to have work to do and we'll continue to see losses in our workforce. And every loss, every one teacher that we see is 6 other teachers affected in the course of their day if a guest teacher cannot be found. That's 175 students, give or take, that are affected by extension. How many of those students are ESOL students? How many of them are ESE students that are not receiving the services they need from a regular classroom teacher as they have a parade of substitutes, if they have substitutes? Furthermore, when I was watching the workshop with the discussion of the switch to Kelly education, A lot of good questions were asked by the board, but some important ones weren't, such as why was the number that we were given for the cost of switching to Kelly services deflated by 33%, not showing the true cost of what that would actually be. Did we take any time to investigate by a phone call and not a survey that would pass by and be forgotten in an email, but a phone call to any of the thousands of substitute teachers that have chosen not to continue working and substituting in our schools, asking them why it is? Have we taken the time to contact other school districts that have tried to rectify this simply with a pay increase? We're paying at best $15.93 to experienced teachers to come back and substitute. They can make more than that. Driving Uber, making their own schedule, not having to be out of bed at 5:30 in the morning or earlier. They can make more than that working at racetrack, starting at $22 an hour to work overnight. And we're offering people with college degrees less than that. Is it a small wonder that we have a shortage? So I truly hope that you take these ideas into consideration, and all the management perks you might get with Kelly Blue Book, what you think you might save. You have an immense IT department full of talented individuals. If any role in the world can be replaced by a computer algorithm, it's that of the managerial staff. How easy would it be to tie into the teacher request for absence, another program that flags up to the substitute teachers and sends an automatic notice that there's an opportunity to work that day to be booked in advance? Thank you.
I just drive it underneath it. Good evening, board, and thank you for your support for the subs. One of the things, or the major things I need to talk about are 5 things. First one is telephones. Our students are in the classroom almost all day long with telephones, and they're not doing the classwork. You ask them to put it away, they don't listen. They treat us and guest teachers as babysitters. They don't want to listen to us. So we need to make sure we have a policy to get phones out of the classroom to improve their education. Orlando has already started doing that, and I think we need to follow suit. That ties into behavior. Behavior in these classrooms are outrageous. They have been getting worse and worse ever since pandemic and before. And it seems like the kids are running the schools and not the teachers. It should be the other way around. We need the support of the administration to teach the kids and so forth. The next item I want to bring up is involvement in the pre-planning for Kelly services. I know it's almost a done deal, but months ago when you all started talking about Kelly services, us guest teachers should have been involved in that pre-planning to find out some of the issues we had to take and resolve them to make sure Kelly was going to be able to resolve that. We were not involved that I know of. And after tonight's vote, if you vote to approve it, we do need to be involved until it becomes out in the open. I am the webmaster for our organization. I post everything for our guest teachers. Right now, I get calls, what's going on? Are we going to do this? I have no information except hearsay. We need to have accurate information and be involved. And that leads into communication between Kelly Services, guest teachers, substitutes, and the district. All 3 of us are going to end up being a triangle. Without one, the triangle collapses. So that means you have to have all three in order to make it work. And if we have that, you can concede. But that only means we have to do better communication skills. The last thing I want to talk about is active shooter. I know that's the last thing y'all want to talk about. But because we've had more students with guns this year and last year being on campuses and having lockdowns, I have tried to find out what our school district policy is for active shooters who department down there.
Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you.
Please. How am I
Mr. Chairman.
supposed to go outside with my hands up and drive the chair? Nobody will give me any information.
Your time is up.
Time is up, I'm sorry.
Okay, I understand. I just want to make sure you understand the point.
Right, I understand your point.
Have security talk to me on how we do active shooter planning.
Lou Navarre, retired teacher, school district, retired TALC member. First, I would like the board to consider postponing this vote on privatization of substitutes. You never took any input from these people. You just made it a done deal. That's wrong, folks. We need to meet and have some more discussion. So I am asking you to consider postponing this vote for a month. That's fine. Let me say this about that in the immortal words of John F. Kennedy. I like privatization, but you're leaving the bus drivers out, the cooks, the custodians. How are we going to save money? You're just picking on the substitutes. You can't get bus drivers. So don't play this game. And it's a problem, the superintendent said, with SPAC. I doubt it. They can still negotiate. Let's look at the facts. You've not proved Kelly Service will save money. You don't know that, and you spoke that. They're going to charge 33% a month to run this program. Why can't we see the contract from Kelly Services? It's a public record, and you have not shown it to even the board. What are we hiding, folks? Why has the board not shown the contract? Redundancy. There are questions like the discipline and the format and how they're going to treat the teachers. I challenge you and the board and the administration here and the principals that you should sub and see how it is. I made this challenge, only Gwen Gittens did it. Conclusion. At the end of the day, if the school district would have paid the substitute teachers a decent wage with Social Security and workman's comp, you might not need Kelly Services. Just like you still have fallen short to pay the TALC and the teachers. $50K, you're getting your own raise for $50K, and you are part-time. So much for a civic duty, folks. Mr. Getz and I put forward all these things 8 years ago. And by the way, your per diem is only $17. You're still behind with Kelly Services doing it. Raise it to $20. Let's find out, let's meet, and then we'll go from there. And board, I challenge you to substitute and all the administrators. You like my shirt? You don't listen.
Jacqueline Perez. Good evening, Board. In December of 2022, the district received the findings of the Taylor English investigation, which in turn was sent to several law enforcement agencies. This investigation was initiated out of a deposition from a lawsuit in which the plaintiff, Mr. Oakes, entered an investigation of the school district he paid for with a private investigator to uncover corruption at the district. The findings in Mr. Oakes' investigation and the $85,000 cost of the Taylor English investigation were exactly what several employees for years had been reporting to the district. And I wanted to remind you of these employees that we have lost over the years, who had loved children and were dedicated employees to the district, who had come forward and had been bullied and harassed. Carlos Briones, Wilson Moreno, Judy Johnson, Sherry Russ, Peggy Slichter, Susan Macchia, Matt Medeiros, and many more. Sadly, we have lost those employees who have now, it's been proven through 2 investigations, that they were telling the truth about everything they had said. And one way or another, this district and this board has to vindicate them, has to make them whole, because their careers were lost. And these investigations that we paid with public funds so much for, $85,000 and more of taxpayers' monies, I want it entered into the record so the public can see what goes on in the district. It's important that we know. I know that you had a workshop where it was lightly touched and the attorney had to send an email out to allow the board to understand the ramifications and the policies that were violated. The public needs to see that also for transparency purposes. I'm going to end that speech because I'm really bothered about this, and I'm going to touch base on the Kelly contract, which is really disturbing me to hear that substitute teachers are making such a low amount of money when they're taking care of our children. It's not going to kill any of you to delay this contract at least another 4 to 6 weeks and look at the cost. If you're paying an outside firm 30-something% in their gain, where you can add that to the salaries of these substitute teachers who are killing themselves traveling all over the county to take care of children. We have so many classrooms that are at 38 children, where you're going to be fined at the end of the year by the state, because you have classrooms that are overpopulated, violating state statute. You need your substitute teachers. Start paying them more money. You wouldn't have to hire Kelly Services. So please, it's not going to kill you to just pull that tonight and review it and look at the finance. Thank you.
Please give me a second before you start my time. Let me get some notes together. I'm ready. I am Smoking Joe. Hubert H. Humphrey said, "To err is human, to cover it up is bureaucratic." One of our team uncovered books being thrown into dumpsters at Varsity Lakes Middle School. I personally drove to Varsity Lakes Middle School and documented it for myself. Newer books, never opened books, books about history of Florida, books about the Holocaust. Many publications did not appear as ones that would be challenged. Where were the purple problem promoters on this? Amazed the waste was still continuing on Monday, I texted the superintendent and offered free of charge to send my own trucks. These books could maybe have been donated to Holocaust publications to synagogues. I called the superintendent's desk and couldn't get past the desk secretary, who accused me of cursing her. Mind you, I have informed the district that all calls recorded for my safety because I don't trust yous. I received a call from Cheryl Neely claiming the recycling process per district policy, resale gifting is not allowed nor part of their process. This has to be another lie or an attempt to cover up your incompetence, because here on your own school district website proves the very opposite. Seems the district has an online auction site. I personally took the books to Temple Bethel Synagogue. They expressed confusion with the timing of the destruction of books on the Holocaust. I'm sure that you have all got together and concocted a story about these books are no longer part of the curriculum. This is an absolute untruthful. Most of these books were never intended to be a part of the curriculum. Let's inform the public of the real reason for the purchase and destruction of these books: greed. So let's just say it for what it is. State and federal funding, and you want the same amount or more funding provided next year, so it doesn't seem you're underspending, so you have all this excess money to order unnecessary items. This is what keeps our taxes higher, simply that you're all greedy. The fact that you have paid an employee to contact me and flat out lie, surely y'all know me better than that. Claiming that they'll follow the recycling process. If dumping a box into a 20-yard dumpster bound for the landfill is your recycling process, apparently none of you understand it, and I need to learn. I want to make sure that's in the record. The books were stored unopened, untouched, and they were discarded. The serious question that any of these books were could be challenged, even if they were not appropriate. It is for you to throw our taxpayer investments away without trying to reclaim some loss of value. Everyone should be outraged by the malfeasance within this district. Taxpayers, Floridians.
Mr. Phillips, your time. Thank you.
I'm proof right here that y'all do resell stuff. And
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
You lied to me. I'm going to give it I would totally see this waste volume, every volume. You'll take that perception from me, and I'll be done. Here's proof that your employees lied to me and said y'all do not resell items. Don't try me like that again.
Good evening. My name is Sergio Cruz, and I'm a disability and ESC advocate and father. In a rapidly changing world, the concept of inclusion and universal design for learning is more important than ever. It's not just about accommodating students with disabilities, it's about creating an educational environment that benefits all students, disabled and non-disabled alike. Inclusion and universal learning design aren't just buzzwords, yet they are the best practice standard, and more importantly, they are powerful tools that can transform the way we educate our youth and prepare them for a diverse and dynamic society. I want to share some of the many benefits they offer, not only for students with disabilities, but for all learners. First and foremost, inclusion and UDL promote diversity and respect for differences. When we design educational experiences that consider the needs of all students, we foster a culture of empathy and understanding. This benefits students with disabilities by reducing stigma and increasing their sense of belonging. However, it also helps non-disabled peers develop compassion, tolerance, and an appreciation for the richness of diversity. Moreover, UDL encourages creative and flexible teaching methods by using multiple means of representation, engagement, and expression. Educators can cater to different learning styles and preferences. Students with disabilities may require alternative formats, but these same adaptations often engage other students more effectively, making learning a more dynamic and enjoyable experience for all. Inclusion and universal learning design also stimulate critical thinking and problem solving. When students collaborate with peers who have different perspectives and abilities, they learn to approach challenges from various angles. This enriches the learning environment and prepares students for the complexities of the real world, where problem solving often includes diverse teams. Furthermore, the data proves that they improve the teacher-student relationship. In an inclusive classroom, educators focus on individualized support, strengthening their connections with students. This personalized approach fosters trust and communication, which is essential for the success of all students, disabled or not. Additionally, UDL promotes self-advocacy. Students with disabilities are empowered to express their needs and preferences, helping them become more independent learners. The skill is valuable not only for them, but also for their non-disabled peers, who learn the importance of self-advocacy and effective communication. Inclusion in UDL prepares students for an inclusive workforce. They experience diverse classrooms, students become better prepared for a global job market, and they value teamwork, adaptability, and diverse perspectives. This benefits all students as they enter a world where diversity and inclusivity are highly prized. In conclusion, the benefits of inclusion and universal design for learning extend far beyond the disabled community. They enrich the educational experience for all students, fostering empathy, creativity, critical thinking, stronger relationships, self-advocacy, and better preparation for the future. In a world that is increasingly interconnected and diverse, embracing these principles, it's not an option. It's imperative for creating a brighter, more inclusive, and equitable.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment for this evening.
Okay. Thank you to all those who spoke. Dr. Raniere, did you have any responses at this time, or?
Yes, sir. I believe the public is owed some responses to some of the things that were brought up. First of all, to the Shaws, there are members of the Transportation Department here tonight, as well as our Chief Operations Officer, Larry Stevens. I want to make sure that they make contact with you before you leave the boardroom tonight. I need some more information specifically. I'm familiar enough with the address that you provided in terms of the turning lane and other things, but I need to make sure that my team is on top of this for you, and I will make sure that they respond. To our individuals involved with the Ad Hoc Book Challenge, first of all, thank you for your service. We need more people involved in that, and I do appreciate the information that came from Ms. Cox related to our goal to create more media specialists within our own particular school buildings. As I've explained to the board in the past and will explain to the public, there was a period of time where media specialists were difficult to come by, and in order to create the gap, we continued to hire paraprofessionals and other people to look at our media centers. The unfortunate part is we never returned back to looking for media specialists. You cannot find what you're not looking for. So as we move into the budgetary process this year, there will be an expectation that our principals have demonstrated the ability to have looked for a certified media specialist. That does not mean we will find all of them in a year, but it will mean we'll begin the process of bringing back that incredibly important professional, not only to the media center, but to their impact on student learning and student reading. To the substitute services people, I do just want to say there is an item tonight as to information about what the decision of the board would be. We have to wait for the board to make that decision. And the board has been duly informed. We've had a communication plan. The over 1,000 substitutes who are on our books were contacted related to getting information and coming to meetings. They didn't come. I don't know why they didn't come. They were invited in enough time. And we invited Kelly Services to the meeting as well to better explain. I think any time there's a shift in how things are going to work, I think there's always some angst related to this. But I will touch on a couple of things that I think are important to this board and certainly important to me. Number one is, no matter who our substitutes are directly working for, our substitutes will continue to be a group of people that we value and continue to communicate with and assure that they remain part of the family conversation about what's happening in our classrooms and in our schools, with our leaders, and with each other. Additionally, to those of you who spoke about salary, tonight's item also includes a raise for those with less than a bachelor's degree to $17 per hour, a bachelor's degree or higher to $22 an hour, a verified retired educator to $27 an hour, and a bonus for 30 days of coverage of $500. So we are doing both. And while we can argue back and forth on how fill rates will be measured, this board has certainly entrusted me, and I will continue to use this phrase with Kelly Services. We run a trust and verify relationship. We will look at their fill rates, we will compare that to the numbers reported from our schools, and if there's any discrepancy between them and us, we will have the difficult conversation related to the importance of covering our classrooms and the importance of important alignment in terms of relating to the number of vacancies we have each and every day, or the number of classrooms filled. To the board, I remind you in the work session the importance of what it means to have a vacant classroom. At the very best, it's chaotic at a school building when a sub doesn't come or a class is uncovered. In other cases, it could lead to another sub when somebody is asked to cover a classroom, and for every right and purpose, they decide that they're not up to that task on that particular day. We are trying to exhaust, in this day and age of limited resources, another manner in which we can relieve some of the pressures on our amazing educators in our school buildings by ensuring that we're doing everything possible to include additional substitutes and make sure that more of our classrooms are covered on a daily basis. To the TELC and SPELC, to the TELC representatives, thank you. We know that we can count on your cooperation moving forward, and I know this board is committed to working with all of you as we move forward in the February reopeners. We need to be talking about a lot of vital information, not only related to continued supportive compensation packages, but we need to also be talking about student workday, student contact time, and lots of other different issues as well. They're all on the table, and I appreciate the leadership of the TELC union and our negotiating team for reaching what I think, and I think I'm using not a direct quote, but a quote, that this is a pretty historic agreement for our school district. It's definitely a step in the right direction, Mr. Daniels, and I appreciate your continued support here at the podium to lend teacher voice to this board and to this board's work and to my work as well. I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody out. To Ms. Chester specifically, I want to thank you for taking the time. There will not be an adversarial relationship with our substitutes by moving to Kelly Services if that is the board action tonight. That relationship between our substitutes and the school district doesn't change, and would like to thank you for your leadership regarding the substitute teachers as well. Ms. Linda Carter, I understand that there are a number of issues which I hope have addressed and enjoyed speaking with you prior to the meeting as well. In terms of active shooter, I will ensure that Dave Newland, and I believe my Chief of Staff has already addressed you as well, will make sure that you get that point of contact and we go from there. To Ms. Perez, I will have to defer to the Taylor English report to our board attorney. I understand you're a very passionate person. I apologize. Very passionate person who has very strong feelings about this particular issue, and we will continue to release and be as transparent as possible while also protecting the interests of our district. To Mr. Joe Phillips and to the board, our schools follow certain protocols when it comes to the disposal of textbooks that are outdated, beyond the adoption cycle, and out of date with our current book benchmarks and standards. The process includes contracting with a vendor, placing the textbooks into a proper recycling container, that is a dumpster that is delivered by the vendor. Those books are then removed and recycled off campus. Not only does state law provide me that authority, but more importantly, our board process and our board policy does as well. State law speaks that the school board may prescribe by rule the manner of destroying instructional materials that need to be disposed of. And additionally, my apologies, when it comes to instructional materials, policy 7310 reads, the school board requires the superintendent to review the property of the district periodically and to dispose of the material and equipment that is no longer usable in accordance with the terms of this policy. In terms of instructional materials, it speaks to the redistribution or possible disposal, concepts and content that do not support the curriculum goals of the new curriculum, information that may not be contract, and also that is worn and beyond salvage. The superintendent later in the policy is authorized to dispose of obsolete instructional materials and other property by selling it to the highest bidder, to donation to appropriate parties, or to the proper waste removal. In this particular case, we do not have the facilities nor the means by which to collect every used textbook, begin to cost warehouse space, hire employees to interact with the public, and sell things out. To Mr. Phillips' point regarding some other technologies, we do list some of our electronic equipment on a particular at-bid website textbooks are not permitted to do this. Lastly, I would say that by donating these books and providing these opportunities for our recycling, we want to make sure that there's an opportunity that these textbooks in particular don't wind up in landfills and in other places where we all know that paper does not disintegrate at the rate that we originally thought. If you dig up most landfills, you'll be able to find a newspaper that can be well read from a number of years ago. Our textbooks just don't disappear if we put them in the ground. We're better off recycling them, sending them to a pulp factory, and allowing that material to be utilized in recycled textbooks and creating additional supplies for our school system that due to the recycled information could be cheaper to all of us. Lastly, to Mr. Cruz, I've appreciated meeting with you one-on-one and continue to appreciate your support and your drive to ensure that this school district stays true to its message of being a world-class school system, which includes definitely using aspects of universal design and how we approach our classrooms. Again, I will make sure that myself, the deputy superintendent, and other people reach out so that we can have more discussion and begin to thinking about our strategic plan and where specific items that you're addressing fit within that plan. Mr. Chair, I believe, and if I've left somebody out, I apologize, but I believe I've addressed the manner and means of which most of the public comment was made.
Attorney Bruno, would you like to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to quickly just touch base on the Taylor English report and its findings. It is true that there were findings in the Taylor English report. It is true that there were policies that were found to have been violated. The employees that were implicated no longer work for the district and have not worked for the district for a very long time. When the report came out, this board did its due diligence in January of 2023 and accepted the findings of that report as well as the recommendations from that report and has diligently made progress and made assurances that these types of things will not happen again in the district. It's a large district. When things happen, this superintendent and this board take it very seriously to make sure that things are rectified and they are corrected and we learn from the lessons of the past and we move forward. Unfortunately, these things happened prior to my tenure, prior to the tenure of Dr. Bernier. But when they have occurred with this new board, they have implemented a speak up, listen up work culture that protects individuals who bring things forward so that they are protected when they bring those things forward pursuant to law, the whistleblower protection statute. So I can't speak as to what has happened in the past, but I can speak as to what this board's directive is for the future, that these things do not happen again.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of action items in the agenda under consent. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days before the board meeting. We're expected to review all the material and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board before appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under unfinished business tabled items portion of the agenda? Mr. Fisher?
No.
Ms. Giovanelli?
I have one, J7.
Thank you. Ms. Patrica with us?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jordan?
No, thank you.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
I have none.
And Ms. Morgan?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda consent items with the exception of the pulled item J7? Ms. Jordan?
I move to approve the agenda item with the exception of J7 as written.
Is there a second? Ms. Langford Fleming? Seconds. Please record your vote. The motion to adopt the consent agenda minus J7 is approved 7-0. Dr. Bernier, would you please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment?
We'd be happy to do so, sir. With your action this evening, a gentleman named Jason Plucker will be accepting the position as principal of Diplomat Middle School. Mr. Plucker. Mr. Plucker, normally there's a lot of individuals who stand up and I address a whole crowd, so I'll shorten it just a bit. We've had a conversation specifically about this when I let you know that based upon the board's action tonight, if you were appointed, what the expectations were. I think it's important for the community to understand the expectations of our principals, and one of them is this is a great symbol of this board and my trust in an individual that when they move on to this particular position and begin to lead a school, it is a very large symbol of trust. Trust is something that is a bank account. It needs to be deposited in every day before any type of withdrawals are made. I do believe, board, that Mr. Plucker is the right decision for Diplomat Middle. I'm excited not only for him, but for the faculty, and look forward to him getting started and leading that school building through the remainder of this school year. Thank you, Mr. Plucker.
We have one pulled item to address. Dr. Bernier, would you please read your recommendation for the pulled item J7?
Yes, sir. Item J7 is the approval to piggyback Orange County Public Schools RFP number 2210-345 for substitute teacher services awarded to Kelly Services, Inc. of Orlando for a period of November 7, 2023 through June 30, 2024 for up to $8.5 million with an option to cancel if deemed to be in the best interest of the district. This piggyback will provide a reliable and efficient way for our district to manage teacher absences by bridging the gap between classrooms and qualified substitute teachers. Kelly Services, Inc. will connect with qualified substitute teachers by utilizing their large pool of guest teachers, allowing them to quickly find suitable replacements for any grade level or subject area. This will ensure that our schools are maintaining a consistent and effective learning environment even when a regular teacher is out. Kelly Services, Inc. will also handle all the administrative tasks associated with the hiring and recruitment of our guest teachers. This will include screening, vetting of potential candidates, and ensuring that the necessary qualifications and background checks are completed as required. This also includes an increase of the daily rate to our guest teachers, which in turn will save the district time and resources, allowing our district to focus on the quality of education for our students and finding full-time instructional teachers and concentrating our forces there. The approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Dr. Bernier's recommendation?
I move.
Ms. Morgan?
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation to piggyback Orange County Public Schools RFP number, 2210-345, substitute teacher services.
Thank you. Is there a second? Ms. Jordan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. The item has been moved by Ms. Morgan and seconded by Ms. Jordan. Is there any discussion? On the dais here, Ms. Giovanelli, are you with us? Ms. Patrica?
I'm here.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, and I'll be real quick. I know we need to have help and support our teachers. So I'm not trying to derail this at all at this point. However, I am concerned that we did not have adequate stakeholder input. And that makes me somewhat hesitant in supporting the outsourcing of guest teachers, which will be a drastic change for the district. With that said, I think we have been less than transparent with the guest teachers and the community that we serve. Last Wednesday's workshop on this topic was less than a week ago, and with little notice and no public comment was available until tonight, which really concerns me. We did not, because we should have afforded opportunity for our stakeholder communication and conversation for us to really know how and what they are thinking and being more transparent. This is very important, especially since we all know this is not going to save us money. We know we need to give these raises regardless if we outsource this or not. Whether we like it or not, guest teacher positions have also been neglected over the years. How do we really know if the pay increase, which is long overdue, would not have addressed the shortage? Why are we rushing this through and rubber stamping it? We need information to making sure wise and physically sound decisions are being made and bringing our community along with us instead of telling the community this is what we're doing and with little input of them. I think that is probably my biggest concern, because I know our students need to have teachers in the classroom and we need to provide them that opportunity. So my question would be, could we table this? Would the board be willing to table this till the very next meeting so that make sure that we're not alienate anyone and that we're asking our stakeholders that we do care about them and showing that we do care about them and we want their input. I think we've had a lot of conversation tonight and we know that the community is concerned, and I think we need to bring them along with us, not against us. Thank you. I'd love to hear what others would have to say.
Okay, any input, discussion? Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Member Juvenelli, for bringing up some of those topics. I did mention last time one of my concerns was the kind of the chicken or the egg argument in regards to salary. Which one we're not going to be able to know from a data standpoint, if it's going to be the pay or Kelly or both. Either way, however, I look at this that we are in dire need right now. And I believe it's not something that we wait a whole lot longer on it just based from what we've seen. But I do have two questions for Dr. Bernier and his staff in regards to this, just to reiterate. So first, and Attorney Debris Bruno as well. So we're not approving a contract tonight, correct?
Currently, there's not an approval of a contract. You're giving us the authority to work in and to execute the related documents. Those documents have begun to be reviewed between Kelly Services and the School District of Lee County through our legal offices and their legal representation.
And second comment on that draft contract, how quickly can we get out of this in regards to if it goes forward?
I do know that there's language in the contract specifically that allows us to get out of a contract as well as allow Kelly Services to walk away as well. I would have to defer to, I've seen the original draft of the contract, but I've not seen the final that will be coming for my approval.
Thank you. As I said, for me personally, I don't look at this as a necessary long-term solution, but I will be approving this and I will give it some time. So thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bruno, do you have anything to add to that, or?
No, it's exactly what Dr. Bernier said. Today is the expenditure. The contract is being finalized. This is a piggyback off of Orange County. The terms are set through that piggyback with Orange County. The district has its piggyback template that will be finalized as well. I think there's a couple of questions that Kelly Services has that we'll answer tomorrow. Our contracts always have a termination for convenience clause in there so that the board has that option to terminate. So I do think those are the same things Dr. Bernier was indicating.
Okay. Ms. Lankford-Fleming?
Mr. Fisher, I have the same exact question. I have it written down right here about the contract questions. I know that we've also asked about the comparison with the other counties that have used Kelly Services. And while their fill rates are incredibly high, or much higher than ours, it would be helpful, I think, if we were to be able to disclose what those fill rates were before they used Kelly Services, post Kelly Services, because yes, while they were at, I think a lot of them were at 80, 85, 83%. Not sure what they were before Kelly Services. That's one thing. And I said, I think in the workshop last week, we have to do something. Our teachers are struggling with covering classes. I know a constituent came up and talked about the the substitutes or the guest teachers will have you, I'm old school, so I'm sorry if I continue to use that old term of substitutes, but our guest teachers, as far as I'm concerned, Mrs. Chester will always be a part of the Lee County School District. That is not at all how I feel as a board member whatsoever. We are all one team, and you are part of that team. So I just want to put that on record. That's how I feel about this. I do agree with Mr. Fisher that we are in dire need. I am comfortable moving forward as long as the terms of the contract allow us to terminate that if we see that this is in fact costing a ton of money for the taxpayers of Lee County and not fulfilling the the goal that we are trying to reach. So I guess I do support it. However, I personally would like a even in a one-on-one or obviously for the public, a report as to how this is going once, if we are starting in January or starting whenever, like a quarterly update. How is it going? As long as we keep the board up to date on the fill rate, then I can continue to support this.
Thank you. Any other discussion here? Ms. Patrica, did you have anything you would like to add?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. If I may, through the chair, ask Dr. Bernier to please discuss the modernization of the process of getting guest teachers into our classrooms as compared to what I would call the antiquated process we're using right now. And it's my understanding that there will be savings to the district through that because we won't have to purchase the software necessary to implement that as Kelly is already using it. Those are my comments. Thank you.
I can certainly reiterate what I said at the work session a few days ago, that the first and foremost, this begins with a team of individuals as a professional organization that does this work full time. We have an HR department that works very hard and works well and is continuing to look at their processes and continuing to improve. But we need to ensure that we are giving our fullest attention to this particular need because covering our classrooms is important for school climate and for morale, as well as, most importantly, student achievement. So we are by this agreement, we are entering into a service from a professional organization that does this work full time. They full-time recruit, they full-time background check, they continue to do all of that work, and they make sure that they continue to help support our classrooms. In terms of quarterly reporting to the board, I think that is a great idea in terms of as soon as we get up and running, that first report would come out sometime in March after the third 9 weeks ends, and then we'd have another opportunity to look at June. Again, I think it's important for us to realize that if we were to do this, we would have to modernize a system, and I appreciate the idea of technical software and our IT's incredible talent, but they are also involved in working on a human capital management system that needs to be revised at this time. I will add that the importance of this is the online interface, both for teachers in need of a substitute to place their information out into the system so that substitutes can see that job, and then substitutes have the option, if they wish to continue to work at a school that they love, they can accept jobs at the school that they love. Kelly does not assign people per se to those positions. They allow our substitutes to make their choices. To our teachers that may be listening who have their favorite substitute teacher, and I know Kelly won't like that I'm saying this publicly, but there's another way by which individuals make sure they secure their favorite sub. And that is when they know that they're going to be out, before they post their vacancy, they will often make a phone call to the individual who normally subs in their classroom and they trust implicitly to be there, and they will say, I am going to be out on December 7th. That individual will know that that job is being posted, and there will be an amazing amount of coordination that goes on between that educator posting and that substitute teacher immediately accepting that position for their teacher. Again, those are just some of the improvements. and we did pull some of the district fill rates as well. So we do have some of the information, but I just wanted to make sure that we are aware that we did share that, and wanted to be aware that there has been, 30 to 40 point increases where Kelly has taken over and done this work. Some of them falling short of 80%, some of them well exceeding 80%. So, Ms. Patrica, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Giovanelli, did you have something we'd like to add here?
I would. So real quick, first of all, I just want to thank you for this conversation. It was something that I think we just need to have a little more in-depth conversation. And just for the public to know, I personally did receive the contract later this afternoon on what the piggyback contract is out of Orange County. So I wanted the community to know that. Also, my questions for the board, I did receive those questions answered late this afternoon, but I did receive that. So I want everyone to be aware of that. And I really appreciate Ms. Fleming's quarterly report idea, and I will move forward with it because we are in dire need as the board, as a board member has mentioned, and I would agree with that. We have to get help in the classroom for our teachers, and this is one step forward. So I don't want to, like I said, I didn't want to derail it, but we have to do better in communication and communicating to our stakeholders. I would like to add to the quarterly report not only the district's observation and data, but I would like guest teacher input. I want that stakeholder input in that, if it's a survey or a questionnaire or something, that we know that this process is actually working and working in favor for the teachers. And maybe not only guest, but stakeholder input as well at the school level. Are the teachers, receiving the relief and the support where they can, if they've got a doctor's appointment, they can take that time and feel comfortable and confident that their classroom is being handled, and and they feel comfortable and being able to be away from their classroom for a day. So I will support this evening at this time. I thank the whole board for having this healthy conversation for the benefit of our stakeholders. Thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli. I would just like to, before we vote, say that I would be concerned if this was the first contract Kelly ever had to do guest teachers. But they have a proven track record. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just seeing something that's worked and looking to try it out and see if it will work here. So with that said, we will do I'm sorry, Ms. Jordan?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you, Ms. Giovanelli, for pulling this, because I do believe I would have preferred that we had more public input as well. But I will say too, when this came before us, I did reach out to other counties to speak to board members as well as the HR department, and they did show a sign of relief because they were filling the seats. Teachers were able to get more help, and HR was able to do what they needed to do. So I think that, and of course, change is always complicated, but in the long run, when the reports that I have heard from other districts, everybody's pretty happy with what has taken place, and that goes along with the guest teachers as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. I have researched it. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. This will be a roll call vote. You'll signify by saying yay or nay when your name is called. Mr. Fisher?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes.
Ms. Patrica?
Yes, please.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Ms. Langford Fleming?
Aye.
Ms. Morgan?
Yay.
And I am an aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Change it up, don't you?
All right, next on our agenda is the good of the order / other business. Board members' comments and reports. We're going to start out with our student representative, Braden. Feel free.
Yes, sir. First of all, I would just like to say thank you for this opportunity for me to be allowed to hear everybody's concerns and everybody's opinions and what they think about the school and the programs that I'm currently involved in and enrolled in. And I would like to say thank you for being concerned for maybe your kids, grandkids, but also for me and how the school I'm going to is going to be affected and things like that. And I would just like to say thank you for everybody up here for continuously day after day making sure that things run smoothly within the district. And just a major thank you to everybody trying to make sure that everything goes smoothly for the place I call home and the school I go to every day. Thank you.
And thank you. Ms. Morgan, we're going to start with you tonight.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank our governance and communications chief for the communications that we're now getting from him regarding the state of business in the legislature. And I particularly appreciate he's attached a little section, I forget what it's called, but he refers us to articles around the state that are of interest to us as we meet. I want to call, since we've been talking a lot about teachers and the need of teachers, I want to call attention to the fact that in the board agenda approved tonight, there were 5 agreements with Florida Gulf Coast University, Florida State College Jacksonville, University of West Florida, National Louis University, and Baylor University, all with those universities to work with their students in student teaching positions in the school district of Lee County, with the idea that the more students we can get here as student teachers, the better our chances are of bringing them in as full-time employees. And so I think we continue to expand the universities we're working with in an effort to grab more potential teachers. I want to congratulate Fort Myers High School teacher Christopher Morales, who was honored by the Governor and First Lady of Florida with the Hispanic Heritage Month Excellence in Education Award. He teaches biology, sponsors 3 student clubs, serves as an extended essay advisor to IB students, and is an Apples mentor for new teachers. So he's got a full plate, and he's obviously making a difference in the district, and good for him, and congratulations. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Langford Fleming.
Mr. Adams, thank you so much for being here. Go Knowles. I loved hearing that. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. But Chairperson's read something about you in the beginning, which I loved, which was your desire to be a part of the actual process of how we make our ideas and our opinions, because our job as a board is, yes, to run the school district, but what our students go through day in and day out is incredibly important to us. And I know that everybody up here on the board, one of their favorite things to do, I think, is to visit our schools, because it's important for us to see the success that you all are having in the classroom. So thank you for being here and being a part of this. As usual, I absolutely love our beginning where our students perform for us and all that patriotism this afternoon with Dunbar Middle. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody that came and spoke tonight. You are always welcome. To the teachers that came in and spoke, just please know that we do provide a listen up, speak up culture, and we appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your evening to share with us your thoughts. Other than that, I do not have anything else, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you. Braden, I agree. I love the fact that that you are going into pre-law, and that you believe that the rights of the students have the right and a lot to give, which I definitely believe that students do have a lot to share. And it's great because we love to hear what you all have to say. And I just want to say I attended the Bandmaster Association. 14 of our high schools participated in that this weekend. Our own superintendent conducted the opening of that event, but these kids were just amazing. It was like you were looking at like the NFL or the halftime. It was just, they brought it. You could feel the heart and soul that they were putting everything out there to show, and they were all in sync. It was beautiful. It was a really beautiful sight. I also wanted to share that I spent the last day and a half with friends from 13 new friends that we made from across the pond. They came over from Wales, and they came over here to study and to see what Lee County is doing in our community partnership schools. It's pretty amazing when you have people coming over from the other side of the world, to make sure that to learn from us and to take it back to their home to share and see what we are doing. And it was just a great day yesterday, and learning from them as well. But we went to the different schools, and they came here. They were excited about seeing. They wanted to know how, and that's why your lights were on, because they all ran up here and they were sitting up here because they were so excited about being in here. But then, and that wasn't the first time, a couple months ago, we had students from Germany come over, and they attended Island Coast. So when I look at that, it's like we don't get that out as much. Lee County is doing a great job. I really appreciate all the teachers and everybody, that, put their heart and souls into making us great, and it's showing when people are coming here because they want to learn from what we are doing to take home to their own. So I just really wanted to share that, and hopefully they'll have some pictures out there of the team that came over, and they'll be traveling to Tampa and then Orlando and then back across the pond. But that's all I have to say. And of course, Dunbar Middle School, that was fabulous in the morning. The symbols, everything about what they were doing was just was great. And thank you all for being here tonight.
Ms. Patrica, you're next.
Thank you. We'll give my board report at our next briefing, so I will have no comments this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli? Ms. Giovanelli, are you there? I will pass over to Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Chair. Braden, great job. It was great to talk with you, especially about your potential future career. I know that you did that with Attorney Dupree Bruno as well. So, we gave you some of the ins and the outs, and, keep up the great work. And thing I can tell you is I tell most of the student reps up here in about 7.5 years, if you go through with being an attorney, come back here. Come back to the Lee County. I always encourage our students for that. So, thank you. I attended Chamber of Commerce, Cape Coral. We had a round table with members of the school district and the business community at Ida Baker about a week ago. It was a kind of a great first talk. It was a listening session, and the business owners really kind of gave us, the pros and the cons, and that's what we wanted to hear, what we're doing well and what we aren't doing well. And I went through this with Dr. Bernier as well a little bit, but we have some really great programs, but one of the issues the business owners were kind of pushing back on is communication with those programs, understanding what's around. So there were some interesting solutions presented, and I believe the businesses felt it very valuable. We're going to kind of continue those listening sessions and see where we go with that. But I thought it was a great first meeting, and I appreciate the Chamber of Commerce in Cape Coral doing that, as well as the business owners. And thank you to some of the principals attended, as well as our CT and adult ed personnel. Last thing, I just want to say thank you to our staff and teachers for all that you do. I hope you've seen that this board supports all of you. And, we've been together about a year now, and, we're going to keep supporting you. And I just want to say, both as a board member, as a parent, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli, are you there? Nope. Okay. I saw the no shake over there from Secretary. All right. I would like to just steal something from the superintendent, because I'm sure he'll mention it too. But Friday Night Lights is playoff time. And there's going to be a game. It wasn't very good earlier in the year between Dunbar and Fort Myers High. Double overtime where Dunbar won by 1 point. So I'm sure to be a blowout just like that again. But I'm definitely going to be there and encourage everybody else. If they're not doing anything on Friday night, that'll be an awesome game. I believe our other two teams are playing away.
Who's hosting?
Dunbar is hosting. So I'm all excited about that. But that's all I wanted to say for the night. Attorney Dupe-Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The school board attorneys and I had an opportunity to go to our FSBAA conference this past weekend. It's always great to be around our colleagues to think through difficult legal questions. So I just wanted to share that, and Attorney Huffman and I had an opportunity to present as well to our peers. So that was a wonderful experience. Braden, I heard 3 things that Mr. Chairman said that are secret attorney skills, and I'll tell you what they are. 1, pleasant disposition. Even when you're in front of a judge that's giving you a hard time, you have to, and Mr. Fisher's shaking his head because he knows you have to have that pleasant disposition. 2, a comical approach to life. I guarantee you that there's going to be times you want to pull your hair out. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, everything that's going on. And then 3, passion for things, to make sure that things are done fairly and equitably. That is a driving force for most lawyers, is that passion to make sure that there's fairness and equitable decisions that are made. So with those 3 things that you already have, I think you're halfway there. Now you just got to get the book part, but you're halfway there in terms of the demeanor of how to be a lawyer. So I wish you a lot of luck, and I know that you are a viable member of our society, and you will continue to be a viable, I stole your line. No. You will continue to be a viable member of this society. So please, please keep in touch. I'm here. Attorney Shana Zupke is here, and the rest of the legal team are well available if you have any questions or have anything that you would like to discuss with us.
Thank you. Dr. Bernier.
Not sure what's left, except to mention a couple of other schools that are headed to the playoffs this coming Friday night. Estero is headed to Hardy, and Mariners headed to Golden Gate, but the Dunbar-Fort Myers game will be local at Dunbar. I do think it's important to review tonight that by your actions this evening, not only did we get into those agreements with our universities, but there was also under academic services the beginning of multiple contracts that'll finish out on November 21st regarding dental and other supports for our colleges and technical education centers. Without the support of these particular community members, that leads to Mr. Fisher's comment about working with chambers of commerce and getting to know our businesses. These contracts with those individuals allow our students to have the hands-on experience they need to complete their training and be viable members of our community, not just when in school, but outside of high school as well. Your action also tonight increased the pay and compensations by reaching agreement with our SPALC, TALC, Schedule N, and admin employee groups. Thank you very much for your leadership regarding bargaining authority for our bargaining team. Thank you to the members of both our SPALC and TALC unions for your goodwill and your desire to reach equitable conclusions for all of our employees. To the Schedule N and the admin teams, we appreciate your patience as we go ahead and settle with our union groups first, and then apply the percentage to all of your raises. And I appreciate the over 242 administrators that took me up on a Teams meeting yesterday at 4:30 p.m. so that I could talk to them about the agreement for the admin team that would be coming forward for your approval tonight. So often they don't seem to feel like they have a voice, and I thought it was important to lend voice to them. Quick shout out to Cape Coral and Mariner High School for the Unified Sports Program. Had a great opportunity to attend the first Unified Sports Program between Cape Coral and Mariner. Cape Coral got to hang its Unified Sports Program banner. That also because they exhibit the acceptance of students with disabilities within their school. I wish Mr. Cruz was still here, because it was a great opportunity to see how wonderful that process can be, but it's growing beyond our Unified Sports Programs here. At the state championships in bowling this past week in Orlando, at the very end, they recognized clearly the teams for state championships, but then they also recognized the boys and girls winner and the unified boys and girls winner for the state bowling championship. And I will tell you, getting information out of Cape Coral about their student who finished 4th, his last bowling effort before he had to step away from the competition. He bowled a 278. I think if you add up all my bowling scores together in my entire lifetime, they don't equal 278, and that is with bumpers. So a reminder about some upcoming events. Next Monday night is the last town hall specifically that we've been hosting so far. It'll be at Bonita Springs. December 16th, important to put on our calendars, and we'll be advertising more about it, the high school open house here in our school district office, where our high schools will open to the public so they can come and see all the choice options of our amazing high schools. And last but not least, Braden. And then my favorite attorney stole my favorite line regarding your entire bio. And that is, Braden believes that people should view high school students not as the future, not just as the future, but as a viable and important members of our society today. He recognizes that he and his peers have much to offer if given the opportunity to express their opinions, beliefs, fears, and dreams. I can't tell you how wonderful those words were to read prior to coming into the board meeting this evening. And from what I know about you through your principal and through your teachers at your school, you live that every day. You're a strong voice, a strong advocate for people your age, and I hope as you continue to down that path towards your Juris Doctorate, that you'll continue to keep in mind young people need representation and they need that voice as well. So thank you, and thank you for what you've accomplished and what you will continue to accomplish, and how you will be a great example of what the school district of Lee County can turn out, and what our wonderful educators, paraprofessionals, bus drivers can do given the time to work with a student and a family that's supportive of the educational process. Thank you, Braden.
Thank you, Dr. Bernier. On Wednesday, November 15th, there'll be a board workshop at 12 p.m. On Tuesday, November 21st, there'll be a board briefing at 1 p.m. and a board action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 7:46 p.m. Have a good evening.